Imagine building a company you no longer have to run, yet still grows, yet it still grows, thrives, and impacts lives. Today's guest, Steve Endacott, has done just that. And in this episode of Hacks and Hobbies, we'll uncover how he became the chairman who doesn't micromanage but empowers. Steve, welcome to the show.
Hi, Junaid. Thanks for having me.
Now, Stephen, you've worn many hats: entrepreneur, investor, mentor, and now you're operating in a what many dream of a semi retired freedom state. Talk to me a little bit about what made you realize it was time to delegate and step into a chairman role.
Oh, I think it's been a bit rich and enough money where you don't have to work anymore. So you can actually do things probably a bit more invigorating, a bit more challenging. So came up to 2019 and I sold my business. Won't be a second, just I tell the guy I can't do anything.
Sure.
No, I'm just on a podcast. Can you deal with Ruth? Okay, cheers. Really sorry about that. I thought going into another room it would stop people coming in, but they didn't. Right, start again. Right, ask me the question again, and we'll go from
Yeah,
the top.
absolutely. Steve, what made you realize that it was time to delegate and step into a chairman role?
Having enough money not to work anymore. So I sold my main businesses, holiday taxis, for $60 million in 2019. I sold my insurance business during COVID, a better deal, by the way. So I'm very proud of that one. And had enough money where making money from working wasn't going to turn me on anymore. But I still had a business brain, still wanted to be active. So therefore, I went, okay, it's time to give back and still make some money, but help other people. So I've loved disruption all my life. So
Mm.
in travel, I've disrupted the major tour operators after working for them, poached your own gamekeeper, and created something called dynamic packaging, where we took low cost seats, packaged it up with hotels, and created holidays on the fly. Something that sounds obvious now,
Mm.
but 15 years ago was revolutionary. Um, and that same revolution has just about hit us. I love AI and I love the disruption it's going to bring.
Oh,
And the
yeah.
key thing about AI is if you're old like us, you don't get it. If you're young and you've just left university and you've got a master's in AI, you probably do get it. But
Mm-hmm.
conversely, you don't know how to run a business. So what we did as Newell River is we created a panel of 12 grey haired people like me that had the money to invest, but also had the time to give back to help people shape a business. We then take graduates and we pay them 30 grand a year, $30,000 a year. But one day a week, they work on their own idea. 4 days a week, we rent them out to other people. And within 6 months, that have to come half their time. And within a year, we expect to spin them out their own business. We fund that to £100,000 or $100,000. And for that, we take probably 50 to 60% of the shares.
Mm.
They take 40% of the shares, but we then do all the fundraising for them. We do all the tax advice for them. We help them recruit a management team because quite often they'll be the CTO, but
Yeah.
they won't be the managing director, they won't be the sales director. So basically, we're helping young people create their own businesses, spin them out. We get a shareholding, but I don't have to work in them. I just guide them.
It almost sounds like you're doing a Y Combinator style startup, right? So you're bringing in new fresh blood. Hey, what's your startup idea? We're gonna help you. We're gonna fund you. We're gonna arrange all of these things for you so that you get to focus on your passion, your the idea that you come up with.
It's bi-directional. That is absolutely one of the fundamental directions. The young people come with the ideas, we shape them. But we also encourage the grey-haired people to
Mm.
think about what they want built. What products could they use in their industry? What's the opportunity? Because I talk about AI and say you don't want to get involved in the race to build the fastest engine. So you
Mm-hmm.
don't want to be a chat GBT, you don't want to be an Anthropic, you don't want to be a Claude.
Right.
What you want to do is take that engine, make sure you can interchange any engine in and out because you don't know who's going to be the best, but then you build the car around it. And the
Mm.
car is the user case. What's the color of the car? What's the shape of the car? What's the sat nav? Well, imagine that. Well, how do you use this in my business sector? What difficulties can I solve with AI much more efficiently than with humans. And that's where you need the grey hair and the experience. So the idea either comes in from the grey hair experience or it comes from the young person and the grey haired experience to try to guide them, shape them into, well, is that going to make any money?
No, that's really powerful, and it's really interesting to also discover it. So I recently watched the movie The Intern. You probably remember that, with Robert De Niro was the intern. He's a senior gentleman and coming in as an intern for this startup company, and he sees all right. He sees how the thing is operating, and he sees where the missing pieces are because of all the 40 plus years of experience that he has. And you're essentially showing you, what do you call them, the gray hairs, the gray heads.
Grey haired and the youngsters. Nothing more complicated than that. The grey haired don't like being called grey hair and the youngsters don't like being called youngsters. But it tells people what we're doing.
Yes, no, I love it. I love that because it's very specific. It's very intentional too, because I can automatically relate to which section I want to be part of. Right, already a half a gear gray head here, but it's the experience, and then getting in front of technology, and learning how all of these technology can come and work together for us is also really powerful. Now, Steven, how do you find and trust the right people to lead? You did mention that you're bringing in these youngsters and the gray heads from the different aspects, but how do you know who to trust and who the right people would be?
Okay, so part of this comes from having a corporate career first. I'm an unusual entrepreneur because I did corporate first until 2003, and
Mm,
then I went rogue. And in corporate life, one of the first things I learned early, if you want to be promoted, you have to work out what you're good at and then put around you the people that are good at the things you're not so good at.
mm,
And building that management structure, it just seems second nature. So whenever I'm looking at a business, you get who the CTO is, and you get, well, what's his skill set? What's he good at? And then you have to work out who you're going to put around him.
mm,
Ideally, that would always be with recommendations and trusted people that other people have worked with. But quite often you can't do that. So you
yeah.
have to interview people. But what you have to be is quite brutal. You have to put them on a short term contract. And if they don't fit in, you get rid, because a startup has got to move ultra fast. And if there's a conflict in the team and they don't balance,
Yeah.
you need the grey hair to say, look, you've got to deal with this. And that's again an experience and a knowledge that a lot of startup founders don't have. So,
Mm,
for example, in many businesses I've seen, they allocate all the shares at the beginning. Don't be stupid. How do you know how important each individual that you've created at the beginning is going to be in 2, 3 years' time?
yeah.
So I always insist that half their shares are granted at the beginning because you need to have them locked in, but the other half is sweat equity based
Mm,
on them remaining in the business. And also, all of that sweat equity isn't specifically locked down to an individual. It's a pot that each year you can reward people by going, right, okay, these are objectives. The one that achieves the most objectives gets the most shares. Again, very simple things you learn with life is don't lock up all your shareholding day one. So many founders have co-founders that actually don't do anything in the business anymore.
mm.
It's a real problem because they can't get rid of them.
You can't get rid of the co-founders. They're locked in and they're not spending their energy. And I think we saw that happen with Facebook as well. You know, there was yet some co-founders. They're like, "Hey, you're not doing any work. I'll buy out your shares, and you can be on your merry way." And then they're like, "No," and now they're probably kicking themselves, hoping that they did some work. Now, Steven, talk to me about what's one mistake people make when trying to replace themselves.
Oh, I don't think they do. It's so
Mm,
easy to recruit in your own likeness and recruit people you like. Working with people that aren't a natural fit at times because they may be an accountant and I'm a marketeer. By the way, my both are a bit odd. But I've always had to surround myself with boring people to slow me
mm,
down. And at times they get on me wick.
mm,
Yeah. But I know I need them. So it's just working out what that requirement is. Always having some non-execs. It's cheap resource. They've got the experience. Have that guidance in those early days, not to make mistakes that they made, because we've all made mistakes,
mm-hmm.
or to at least advise them. One of the things I always say is, I'm your non-exec chairman. I've got no power whatsoever. I make some recommendations. It's your business. You don't like what I say, get on, run it however you want to run it.
Yeah. I love that. I love that idea too, because you're giving them the power and you're like making recommendations from your experience, which then says, oh, helps them to see a way that they might not have thought about.
But it goes both ways. So, as I
Yeah.
said before, what I love working with these youngsters is they bring me new tech every single week.
Mm.
I go, wow, I like that one. I don't know if you've tried Gamma, which is a great tool producing presentations,
Oh,
or
yeah,
you've
it's so
tried
powerful.
Perplexity, which is a search engine and AI, and the difference between AI search and how that's going to impact Google. That's a strategization that I love to do.
Mm.
But they can bring me the tools and say, look at this. And I go, wow, look at that.
Yeah. No, that's really powerful, Stephen. Let's talk about systems. What processes did you implement to ensure continuity after you stepped back in your business?
Absolutely none, because I didn't start the business.
That's right.
So I'm only involved in startups now where I'm finding the management team, structuring the management team, and then stepping back. My main businesses I sold before I stepped them back. If you've built a baby for 19 years, you are not dedicated and giving that away until you've got every penny milk from it and in your
Yeah.
bank account.
Yeah.
So this is just a stage in my life because I have sold my businesses, I can act differently. But again, even the word entrepreneur, I'm not a traditional entrepreneur because I came from a corporate background and I've got a corporate mentality about building teams and I've learnt the experiences there.
Mm.
What I am is somebody willing to try and fail because that's the definition of an entrepreneur for me. You will not make everything successful. You will
Yeah.
try some and some will fail. So for example, we've got a target of getting 10 startups out of our incubator, Newell River. But I know a maximum four, five of those may work. It may be as low as three. So we've already
Mm.
got structures in place to recycle the good people in case their projects don't work. Because sometimes they won't work.
Yeah.
Sometimes one of the big guys comes and crushes them. And one of the things I get really fed up in the AI space at the moment, if I get another investor call where they tell me, oh, no, no, that's too big a space, you're being too ambitious, the big guys are going to do that. Absolute rubbish.
Yes.
The
I
big
agree.
guys will build the engines as long as you're building the user cases. But one of the rules is very clear is you can't really do B2C
Mm-hmm.
businesses with AI because somebody will copy you unless you
Yes.
raise a lot of money and do it fast. So
Yes.
it's much easier to have concepts which are B2B. I have a established distribution you can log you into so you can get out there quicker. That's much more likely to be successful in trying to build a mega brand of your own unless you've got
Mm.
mega millions. And again, that's unlikely in the AI space because it's such a fast moving space. So
Very
again, there's
fast.
lots of basic practicalities you can advise people on. And that's part of our metrics when we go through the scoring of saying, okay, it's got to 6 months, which of these projects are going to go ahead? And then we have to say to the people that haven't got projects going ahead, well, which of these other projects do you want to work on? Because you can still get shareholdings. You get slightly smaller shareholding because it wasn't your idea, but you can still
Yeah.
get a substantial shareholding and you club together and you do the most likely projects. And
I
that's what
love
we
it.
did with Neural Voice, and that's what we've done with Lice Echo, and that's what we're doing with a new business we just about launched called May I.
Man, that's powerful. And I love the perspective. I love that you're helping them, guide them, and making sure that all of these spaces are set up in a way so that you do have ways to, because you've got 10 companies, let's say, in the incubator, right? And you said,
Yep.
what if seven of these don't work out? But we still have people working on those projects that are really dedicated, really hardworking. They can easily work on something, a newer project, or and make that bring to life.
Or one of the successful projects.
Yeah,
So
bringing.
basically, if you manage to get good talent in the first place, have a continuity plan in case their project doesn't work. It's no different from corporate life.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah.
recruit the best people. Quite often, I've had to send some of the best people away because I don't have a role for them at that time.
Mm,
I always say, by the way, you're coming back at some point. Don't think you're leaving forever. Yeah,
exactly.
you may be
Yeah,
coming back to this business, you may be coming to a business I'm working in the future, but you're
yeah.
in my diary. I know you're good and you're locked.
I love that.
So as you go through life and you find good people, for God's sake, don't give them up. Don't lose them. Keep in touch, work the network, continue to be mentors to them because one day they may come back to you.
Amen. Steven, that's been a powerful episode. But what's funny is that we're not done yet, because in our next episode, we'll go even deeper. What if your business success could outlive you? What if your legacy became your next startup? Uh, Coming up next, would you want to be remembered forever? Please, Steven, if you can give a teeny bit of teaser of what people can expect from the next episode.
Okay. Why do only rich people get autobiographies? You may know something about your parents, you may know something about your grandparents, you'll only know the name of your great grandparents, if that. So we are wiped from the earth within 3 generations. I want to live on.
Guys, stick around and we'll be back in the next episode with more information, with more on what you want to be remembered forever. Thanks for now, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.